Hello and welcome to our weekly personality program Encounter on NTA Otuwarikpo Network Center. I am Dibabari Siedoma Weke. Before now, traditional rulers were seen as next god and were expected to operate within the palace. But times have changed as traditional rulers are now very versatile, knowledgeable, well-read and articulate, and no longer confine themselves to the palace, but are now involved in developmental issues geared towards having a better society. And with me today on Encounter today is one of such traditional rulers. A first-class traditional ruler, duly recognized by the state government, holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in General Linguistics, Doctor of Philosophy degree in Law and Diplomacy with specialization in conflict resolution. Considering his selfless service to humanity, he was decorated a worthy son of the South. My guest is His Royal Majesty Enene Felix Enene Otuwarikpo, the Nye Udu Upata, the third of Upata Kingdom. Eze Ejale.
Thank you.
Welcome to Encounter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now moving on now. Briefly, let's get to know who King Otuwarikpo is and your experience so far on the throne.
Well, I'm His Majesty Dr. Felix Enene Otuwarikpo. I'm a Justice of the Peace, fellow Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, fellow Institute of Training and Development, fellow Institute of Arts, Corporate Management, United States. I'm the Eze Upata, the third of Upata Kingdom, and equally sitting in as the regent of the Ekpe ethnic nation. So far, so good. Ours is to provide focused leadership, and I'm not good at assessing myself. I am leading the Ekpe ethnic nation, and at every point in time, I prefer the Ekpe people should assess the work I'm doing for them.
Okay.
The service to our fatherland.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Talking about security now, there's a saying that security is everyone's business. And then in your domain where you operate as king, what is the security situation? And then considering the fact that you have a doctorate in law and diplomacy, how has this helped you in resolving conflicts within your domain?
To be very honest with you, and anybody could investigate what I'm saying now and compare with other ethnic nations in this country. I make bold to say that Ekpe is the most peaceful ethnic nation in this state, and in fact in Nigeria. I say so because businesses are going on smoothly, social gatherings, all activities are uninterrupted. Recently, we concluded the opening ceremonies of the wrestling season in the 5 kingdoms, and there was no incidents of anybody quarreling with another person, no disruption of the programs, unlike what happened before now and what is happening in other places in this state and elsewhere. And so Ekpe is very, very peaceful. And looking at my background, sometimes you may have the theoretical aspect of knowledge, and then the practical aspect is deficient. But having passed through different systems before ascending to the throne, I think I have gathered enough experience to manage the complex security situation I met in Ekpe land. And today, we could beat our chest to say that Ekpe is the most peaceful ethnic nation in this state and in fact in this country. in 2019, we had an amnesty program, and the amnesty program we were able to bring out 334 young persons and few daughters among them. And the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Nyesomeze was so gracious to us to approve the traditional amnesty program. And he pardoned all of them and directed for their profiling and binding over, which was done. And the weapons recovered from them were submitted to the government. I think that happens to be the first kind of traditional amnesty program conducted in this country, where we as traditional rulers have to go to the forest to convince our young people to come out of the forest because of our belief that we never born them to go and live in the bush. They are supposed to live in the communities, and contribute to the growth of the community. But for obvious reasons, probably beyond their control or societal influence or whatever, they found themselves in the bush. And so we took it up to bring them out. And we discussed extensively, and they accepted to come out. And indeed, they are out today, and they are moving about freely. And what is sustaining the peace process is the rehabilitation committee we put up to de-radicalize them. We have a team that is working on drug abuse. Drug is a very major factor affecting these young people. So they are working on them, and they are being de-radicalized. And then the aspect of cultism, we have equally, the committee is also working to change their mind from cultism to a better life in the society. I think so far we are making a lot of progress.
So after all that, were they skilled? Were they run into some skills, to keep them busy, Sometimes because they are not busy, that's why they go into these vices.
Actually, it will be difficult to support that argument that people go into crime because they are not busy. A criminal is a criminal. If we look at the concept of somebody not being busy, why would a multimillionaire son be involved in cultism? So those are theories that some of us don't accept. Once somebody is criminally minded, no matter how busy he is, he will go into crime. And so, but beyond that, the ones we have brought out from the bush, we are rehabilitating them. There are some of them that own fish farms. Some have poultries. Some are learning auto mechanic and domestic electrification and other trades, and most of them are doing well. Most of them are even employing their younger ones to, they are helping to groom a lot of people. But that doesn't mean that the Ekwe society is completely free from crime. No, it's like when you treat a mad person, and the person comes out from the psychiatric hospital. Once in a while, you notice some trait of madness in him. He will start laughing uncontrollably, behaving in a way that suggests that he's not completely, normal. And so that's the kind of situation we are dealing with now. There are few elements that have not completely, gotten out of those tendencies. But we are not giving up. We are working on them, and they are understanding the message we are passing. And just yesterday, some of them voluntarily, went and took oaths, traditional oaths, renouncing cultism. Just yesterday morning. And so nobody is forcing them. It's because of the message we are passing to the society that this kind of behavior is not tolerated in this kingdom. And they are getting that message very clear. As much as we don't want to deploy soldiers and police to kill them, because I've told my people I wasn't elected to come and rule dead bodies. I come in to rule those who are alive. And that's why I'm intensifying sensitization for them to repent voluntarily, and so that they can be alive and they become better citizens of the society.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good step to rehabilitating the youth. Still talking about groups like that and all the amnesty, the emergence of militia groups, and then the use of small arms and all that is as a result of perceived injustice in those host communities. the PIA has been passed, do you think it will address, some issues in these host communities? And what is your take on that, the passage of that?
Well, before I go into discussing the Petroleum Industry Act, let me quickly say that there is no economy driven by oil and gas that is not conflictual in nature. The only exception is the United Arab Emirates. And the exception is because the United Arab Emirates is not concentrating on oil. They are using other sectors, especially tourism, to drive their economy. But any economy that is driven solely by oil always have this gap between the rich and the poor. The oil economy destroys the middle class. And any economy where you don't have the middle class, it will be conflictual in nature. Because that class struggle between the poor and the rich will throw up a lot of challenges that will upset societal balance. And that is why you have proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Because where people depend on oil, there are those that are not privileged to be in that oil economy. Yes. And the only way they can have access to that oil is to acquire weapons, to have their way into oil. And so that is what brings in such crisis in the oil economy. And then coming to this issue of the situation in the Niger Delta and then the Petroleum Industry Act. Well, I am one person that strongly believe that that act, would have the only major provision in that act would have been for communities that have oil to mine their oil and pay tax to the government. That is the right thing to be done. You cannot legislate for a mineral resource that is in a community. In a federal system, it's not done anywhere in this world. It's not done. The big families in Houston, the big families in Saudi Arabia, and other places that are very rich, even in Iran, it's not from state resources. It's from, they mine the resource, the oil in their land and pay tax to the government. And that is what operates in any federal system. But in Nigeria, because of our defective system, we keep, bringing laws that create more confusion in the society. That Petroleum Industry Act, in fact, is one act that will create more confusion, not only in Nigeria, but in the entire country. And so it's unwarranted, it's vindictive, it's against the people of the Niger Delta. Okay. It's not acceptable. In fact, the Empire Nation, we have made a pronouncement that we don't accept that Petroleum Industry Act. It's unjust, it's against our people. Okay. Those who passed that act never visited the Empire land. Okay. They never did. The Senate Committee or the House Committee, or even the joint sitting, never visited the Empire land one day to see the level of degradation of our environment. And then you sit down in Abuja and pass a law that gives us 3%. What is the basis of that 3%?
Your Majesty, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, Your Majesty will still be in the house. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We still have King Otuwarikpo in the house. Away from the PIA, let's go to flooding issue, because I know that your area is one of the flood-prone areas, and NIMEC has warned of possible flash floods in 34 states. What are your thoughts about that, and how prepared are your people, or are you, against the impending flood?
Well, this annual flooding has become a serious challenge to us, especially the traditional rulers. when this kind of natural disaster strikes, we are the ones that suffer the most, because the people don't know if they have authorities anywhere. It's you they see every day, and so they cry to you. And so over time, in fact, at NEMA office, I've written letters over and over since 2017 till date, and on each time we send delegation to NEMA to come to our aid. And like I said, somehow, sometimes we sit and examine ourselves to know if actually we are citizens of this country called Nigeria. Because when flood ravages certain places in this country, there is quick response by NEMA and other agencies of government. But when it comes to the Orashi region, especially Orashi region, where we come from, and Orashi region is one of the areas that contributes significantly to the economy of this country, especially the oil and gas. And this area is ravaged by floods, and there is no serious presence of government. No serious presence. At the end of the day, they will just come and bring one truck of useless materials to come and distribute to our people. We are not asking anybody to come and feed us. We have enough food to feed ourselves. The issue is mitigate this annual flood disaster. If you mitigate it, we don't need to, when this flood comes, I wish NTA will come to Ekpe land. For Ahoda West, particularly, so that 80% of the communities will be completely flooded. 80%. Yeah. Completely flooded. And the Ahoda East area, about 30-35% of the communities flooded. And our people lose everything, entire livelihood. We are farmers, all the farms will be submerged, houses, everything destroyed. And at the end of the day, no compensation. And then you will now see that ordinary wind will destroy markets in one part of the country. And the next thing, the DG NEMA is there.
How prepared are you?
Is there to go and distribute, give them money and everything. Are we not part of this country called Nigeria?
Yeah,
are we second-class citizens?
How prepared are you? But it is coming.
Well, we have a committee headed by High Chief Okedike that has been mandated to work out arrangements to take care of will be victims of this flood disaster. Yeah. And of course, Pata Kingdom, where I'm the main traditional ruler, of course, we have identified 2 schools, and we have asked the principals to move students away from certain part of the school, so that we could already take some measures to make sure we have enough space to accommodate the victims. At the EPA level, we have mandated the committee to go around and identify structures we could use to shelter our people. But we have a government facility at Ahoda and Akenema. That's both Ahoda East, Ahoda West. Yes. But these facilities are not adequate to take care of the high volume of persons that will be affected. And so, by and large, we believe that government should help us to mitigate the suffering of our people.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Your parting words to the people and then people of the state.
For the people of the Ekpe ethnic nation, we have always believed in the government, especially the government of River State. And we have our sons, the chairman of the Ahoda East and the Ahoda West local government, that are working closely with the traditional institution to make sure life is meaningful for our people. And then at the state government level, we are equally cooperating with His Excellency the Governor of River State to ensure that the dividend of democracy is extended to our people. And so I call on the people of River State not to lose hope, this state will continue to be great. We sometimes believe that leadership is miraculous in nature. It's not. Until you are in leadership position, before you understand the intricacies involved in providing leadership. And so if the people, the followership, are consistent and loyal and support those in leadership positions, of course that leader will perform wonders. And so I call on the people of Rivers State to support the government of Rivers State so that collectively we can have an ideal state.
Okay. Sorry to take you back. On a lighter note now, what are your high points as a king?
Well, I will be 4 years on 16th of September.
Okay.
And 4 years down the line, I think we have tried our best to provide a different kind of leadership that is quite different from what people identify with the traditional institution.
Yeah.
And I wish to say that in 2019, we paid bursary to 960 students of tertiary institutions. Unlike traditional institutions that don't pay bursary. Of course, we are not supposed to pay bursary. But of course, given my background, I told my people that I will not wish to see any child that drop out of school because of inability to pay school fees.
Yeah.
And so we don't allow that. And so we gave bursary generally to 960 students.
Okay.
And then we have 68 students on active scholarship today. Active scholarship, that's school fees, their dressing, feeding, transport, everything. 68 of them on active scholarship. We have trained 398 Opata sons and daughters on our One Youth, One Skill program. The essence is to ensure that no eligible Opata son or daughter wanders around the street looking for a job. Okay. At least we'll give you a skill you can use to feed yourself. Okay. That is ongoing. We are almost concluding the building of the ultramodern Central Palace in Opata Kingdom. That is the first People's Palace, if I say in a land, and then in most part of this state. Okay. Were initiated, and we have 2 banks that have indicated interest to come to Edoha to site their commercial activities. And then we have the police division, the new police division. The police regional clinic is working now. We are looking at the Opata yam and fish market. All these are in place. We have 4 new investments that have come in within this short period. And so Opata is great, Opata is moving. And then finally, I call on investors to come and invest in Opata Kingdom. Okay. Investors are not supposed to pay for land in Opata Kingdom. We give lands to investors to come and invest. So any investors willing to come to Opata Kingdom, we give you land. We don't accept money for land. And so Opata is peaceful, Opata is good for investment, and the Ekpe land is good for investment. Port Harcourt is over congested. They should come to Opata Kingdom and the Ekpe land.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You agree with me that King Otuwarikpo is a traditional ruler with a difference that has brought innovation to leadership. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Discussing with you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for. And that's the most we can take today on Encounter. Thank you for watching, and do have a blessed day.